Wilson. And, of course, my name is J.D. Webb. I'll be your host tonight alongside us both. Wendy Bernard from Dragon Motorsports. Great information on the track a little bit later on. I'll tell you what, one thing we do have to make note of, we want everybody to write this down, RaceSimNation.net. The .net part is the biggest change here happening last week, Tracy. Get rid of that .com and change your bookmark to RaceSimNation.net.
Yeah, we just had to make a small adjustment. Had a little changing up there on the top of the guard tower, but tell you what, we got everything straightened out and going, and we're ready to race. Everybody's going to be here, and it's going to be fun tonight, JD.
You bet, and looking forward to a fantastic season of racing, as always, here at the Nation, and we'll get started with that in just a moment. All right, and I'll tell you what, why don't we go ahead and take you down through the points. We'll tell you who's who and who's where here at the Halls on Post Monday Night Racing Series. Of course, James Grigate taking the win there at Loudon. We'll get into that here in just a little bit. But James Grigate sitting on top, Tracy, and of course, he's seen this before.
Yeah, I tell you what, James always starts the season out strong. But I tell you what, talking to him this year, he sounds like he'll be able to stay more steady, get a little more practice in, and make all the races this year, JD, because that's what killed him last year, was missing those few races.
You bet. And, of course, finishing second to James Grigate last week at Richmond is going to be Kevin Brent, sitting 2 points behind James. I tell you what, Kevin Brent looked awfully good there at Richmond last week. Of course, he led 68 laps to Grigate 74. Just couldn't put it together there at the end. Kevin Brent sitting 2 points behind James Grigate. Of course, in third, young man up and coming, I'll tell you what, driving that number 16 car at Richmond is 4 points behind James Grigate. That's going to be that Kyle Lent. I'll tell you what, the kid, he looked pretty sharp there at Richmond as well, Tracy.
Yeah, JD, you look at that top three, we've almost got three different names in the Pro. This series is running for the championship right at the top this year. So now that we got James Grigate, Kevin Brents, and Kyle Lent. I tell you, what a start of a season to bring these guys around. Kyle Lent is doing a great job. I tell you, he's got some great setups, and he usually runs really strong against these guys, JD.
You bet. They call him the kid, Kyle Lent, and sitting in fourth position behind Kyle. Of course, he duked it out with Tony Bowling there at the end. We'll see that here in just a little bit. 24 car, Ernie D'Alfonso sitting in fourth, 5 points behind James Grigate, guys. And then, of course, we mentioned him just a minute ago, Tony Bowling. Him and Ernie D'Alfonso duking it out at Richmond. We'll see that replay here in just a little bit. Sitting in fifth in the points, guys, 6 points behind James Grigate. And I tell you what, last season's championship driver for the Halls on Post Monday Night Pro Series, sitting in sixth, Jason Riddle, Tracy. Wonder what happened to him at Richmond. I would have thought he would have put up a bigger fight there.
Yeah, I watched Jason all night. He had an okay car. It wasn't a great car. He was able to stay with them guys. I tell you what, he got caught up in quite a bit of incidents on the track that moved him up. I think one time he overcharged a corner and slid way high in four, which caused a bunch of spots there, JD. But I tell you what, I look for Jason coming up in the mile-and-a-half track, because he always does good there, JD.
We got Jason Riddle sitting 7 points behind James Grigate in sixth position. In seventh, Jason Krause, 8 points behind James Grigate. Last season, I'll tell you what, coming in second to Jason Riddle, Chris Wilson,
3.5 minutes.
84 machine, sitting in eighth position, 10 points behind James Grigate. Here with a lot of racing left.
You gentlemen ready?
In ninth position, Frankie Simonto from Dragon Motorsports in that 22 machine, 12 points behind the leader. And rounding out our top 10 in the points here, 1 week into the Monday Night Halls on Post Racing Series, the 62 car, Danny DeBalden, and he's 14 points behind the leader, Tracy. All right, and that wraps up the top 10 here, but before we go any further, we're going to take you into Richmond and show you the last few laps there and talk about it. But before we do that, we're going to take a real quick commercial break, so hey, don't go away. We'll be right back. Hey, this is J.D. Webb with ETV Live. I wanted to tell you about a special event happening next week, sponsored by RaceSimNation.net. There's a young boy in Atlanta, Georgia, along with many other children, that could use a little help in making their lives just a little brighter with the fight against cancer. This will be a benefit race held at Kentucky Speedway, and all donations will be going to Children's Health Care of Atlanta to help fund research and finding cures and treatments for childhood cancer. The race will be held on Friday, September 30th at 8:30 p.m. and it'll be broadcast live on ETV Live and feature a special pre-race show. So load them up on the hauler and head on over to RaceSimNation.net to get signed up. It'll be first come, first served, so look for the sign-up link when you get there, RaceSimNation.net. The young boy in Atlanta I was speaking of earlier, his name is Gavin Lake, who was diagnosed with stage 3 Willem's tumor cancer. He's the 3-year-old grandson of one of our members here at the Nation, and we'll tell you more about him on race night, September 30th. We'll see you there. All right, and welcome back, guys. I'll tell you what, last week at Richmond, Tracy, James Grigate won the race, but I'll tell you what, it didn't come real easy to him.
No, it sure didn't, JD. I tell you, James Grigate, he got down pit road there, just going a wee too fast, and the officials nabbed him. Ended up putting him at the back of the pack at a restart under yellow there, JD. But I tell you what a great track Richmond is. A lot of fun to watch races. And I tell you what, as we'll tell you here in a minute, that corner 2 doesn't disappoint us.
I'll tell you, you're absolutely right. James Grigate going a lap down there on that penalty, but I'll tell you, duking it out up there with Kevin Brents. Kevin Brents led 68 of the laps at the race at Richmond, guys. But I'll tell you, Kyle Lent also putting up a fight. Kyle staying up in the top 5 pretty much the entire night, Tracy.
Yeah, he was up there battling all night, and tell you what, he didn't let none of them guys get too far away from him. Tell you what, it was just a great race altogether. A lot of cars ran up front, ran nice and clean, but tell you what, nobody left the fender off each other. They were doing a little bit of rubbing, but a lot of clean racing, JD.
Yeah, you bet. And, the racing action at the start-finish line, of course, at the end, came between the 21 car of Tony Bowling and the 24 of Ernie D'Alfonso. I'll tell you what, that was a toss-up. Who was going to get it? It happened to be Ernie D'Alfonso crossing first and fourth, Tony Bowling taking fifth. But I'll tell you something else. Those two guys started in the back of the pack, Tracy. Ernie D'Alfonso starting, I believe it was shotgun on the field, if I'm not mistaken, or at least on the back row, starting 26th. Tony Bowling starting at 24th. So to move all the way up through the field for top 5 finishes, I'll tell you what, that was like watching a horse race.
Yeah, I tell you, Richmond is a tough track to get around people. You almost got to kind of wait for their tires to wear out and make your moves on them then, JD.
You bet. And I'll tell you what, why don't we go ahead and take a look at the last few laps here at Richmond Speedway last week. I tell you, man, his eyes got to be glued to that windshield with one eyeball probably up on that rear view mirror. Kevin Brent's trying to make something happen on the outside here. Kevin just can't get it. Got to stay off the wall. Nips that safer barrier. I tell you what, they are absolutely duking it out here. Kevin Brent's now going to give it up to Kyle Lent. Like I said before, Kyle watching all that action out there in front as we get close to the finish here. 3 more laps to go here, guys.
Tell you what, he's probably looking, watching, hoping them guys burn their tires off a little faster. Kyle Lent gets in the apron, Tom loses it, pushes up almost into that 42 car and gets them around. As tell you what, Ernie D'Alfonso is now on the back door of that 16, and the 21's all over the Tony Bowling. And tell you what, we got all 5 cars running real hard, and Jason Riddle's trying to work his way up to get another spot, JD.
You bet. We are 2 laps to go here when they cross, when James Grigate crosses the start-finish line one more time here. It'll be the white flag lap. Game over, guys. Whatever happens, got to happen on this lap. No caution will fly after that as we pick up the white flag. Last lap coming around here. James Grigate out in front of Kevin Brent. Kevin Brent's 2 wins here at Richmond, looking to get a third. Doesn't look like it's going to happen here tonight as Kyle Lent falling off back here in 3rd position. Ernie D'Alfonso up on the outside of 21, Tony Bowling, trying to get there first. The race between 21 and the 24. The 24 is going to get it. Wow, what a finish. That was quite the race at Richmond, but we're going to go ahead and take another commercial break here. And when we come back, Wendy Bernard at New Hampshire. Don't go away. We'll be right back. And tonight, guys, we're in Loudon, New Hampshire, Wendy.
New Hampshire Motor Speedway, nicknamed the Magic Mile, is located in Loudon, New Hampshire. It's a 1-mile track which opened on June 5th, 1990. The track surface is asphalt and granite, which is really going to be hard on those tires tonight, JD.
You bet. I'll tell you what, I recall, when they first built the California track out here, by me, they used local aggregate. Of course, a lot of the area where they got it from used to be the bottom of the ocean. So you talk about some asphalt with nothing but seashells in it. I'll tell you what, it was like driving on razor blades. So I'm sure that's kind of what it feels like out there in New Hampshire, driving on all that granite, Tracy.
Yeah, pretty much you can almost consider this track with no banking. It's only like 2 to 4 degrees out there, JD. I tell you, from the time when I understand, from the time they built this track, all they used is one surveyor, no engineers. Tell you what, the track came out pretty decent considering. But you know what? Going through them corners, being so flat, your car likes to push a lot. So watch out for that right front tire where it'd be an issue, JD.
You bet. And I tell you what, no engineers. That 2 to 4 degree banking tells me that was just nothing but drainage. So I tell you, but it's been it's been an interesting track throughout the circuit. So looking for a lot of fun here at New Hampshire tonight. But on to other news here. I tell you what, we had the interview with Dan White last week. We talked about season 3, the season that Dan White went AWOL. But I tell you what, he came back, let the cat out of the bag, told us what he was up to. And, of course, Dave Hooten was in the mix with that, too. Had an opportunity to sit down with David this afternoon. Here's the outcome of that. All right, we are in the booth this evening with Dave Hooten from Dragon Motorsports. He's the second half of the interviews. Recall, we interviewed Dan White last week regarding his Season 3 exodus, taking the season off to do an experiment, and, of course, very secretive about it. But the cat's out of the bag tonight. And Dave Hooten, why don't you tell us what you and Dan were doing there in Season 3?
Sure, JD. Dan approached me. I was real surprised by it, and I was kind of taken aback, but he wanted to work with somebody that, I've only been at this a short amount of time, a couple of years since the game come out, and he wanted to work with somebody that he thought he can help improve. And what he did was he would watch me during practice and give me suggestions. I'd give him feedback on what the car was doing. He'd give me suggestions what to do to the car, and then he'd watch me as I went around the track, and he'd point out, if I'm driving it in too hard, if I'm not turning it in early enough, how to use the draft for my favor, things like that. Not to go too fast, too early. That was a big thing I had to learn. I'd overdrive the car, wear my stuff out, and it helped a lot. It's just I was real impressed with the time he put into it, and
so it's kind of like having a coach or maybe a crew chief sitting right there on the pit box for you. Then,
yeah, kind of both. He coached me what I needed to do, and as crew chief, he'd give me suggestions and hints of what I could do to the car, because I was lost. I know what a track bar does, I know what a sway bar does, but shocks throw me for a loop. What the spring, for instance, what the left front spring, bigger spring on the left front, what it's going to do for the car, air pressures. The weight, and weight was a big thing, because I used to play around with it a lot, and I'd think I'm fast, and I'd be fast for about 10 laps, and then the car would just totally go away. So he taught me how to take care of the car. Is pretty much what Dan did for me.
So much more than just having a live spotter sitting on your pit box. Of course, sitting on a pit box meaning, he signed in as probably a spectator in the game. And he's got several camera angles that he can view the car and everything, but much more than just being a live spotter, he was actually helping you set your car up, much like a crew chief would, sitting on a pit box, getting ready for those pit stops. Right.
One track that really helped out a lot, it was at Charlotte, and we spent, at least 45 minutes to an hour. I go out and run the car as hard as I could for 10 laps, and I come back in and I give them, what my tire temps were. As far as the split from front to rear, and we adjust weight and different things accordingly, and we got it perfect. And then we go out and we run it for 15 to 20 laps just to see what kind of lap times we were getting compared to other guys on the track.
Guys?
And, before you start,
we have to reset.
Dave, of course, I can't pull any stats up on you, given the brouhaha that went on here last week. We're unable to get, specific information that we were looking for as far as performance. But where would you have put yourself, say, from a range of 1 to 10, where would you have put yourself as far as performance before this?
Definitely, 5 or 6. Sometimes I could get up front and run, but I was never fast enough to get up there and compete with some of the other faster guys, the Wilson and Grigate and Schlafer and Hall, Sean Brown. Those guys were always in front of me instead of behind me. But after we worked, the biggest thing I think Dan did for me was he built my confidence up. He'd tell me before every race, he said, "Who's going to win the race?" And I said, "Well, I hope I can." And he'd say, "Well, no, that's bull crap. You're going to win the race." And that was one of the biggest things I think that helped overall.
And, confidence being a very important aspect out there. Consistency is another thing that's very important, being inside that race car. I mean, you're out there for 100 laps, 125 laps. Some tracks we do 200 laps at. It's a matter of being consistent. Were you consistent before, or do you think Dan White helped you in that respect as well?
I think before I was just, like I said, I'd run the car as hard as I could, and I wouldn't save nothing for the car for later in the race, and I was a little confused on things I could do in the race to keep up with the track. Consistency-wise, he, like I said, in practice, he wouldn't talk to me a whole lot unless I was doing something wrong or doing something right. If I was doing something right, he'd say that was a perfect lap, that was a good lap. And if I could run anywhere close to that same time, any lap after that, he'd tell me, that was dead on. You're hitting all your marks right, you're making all your turns right, and consistency-wise, that was what he'd do to help me.
And I understand, like I said before, I can't pull any statistics up on, personal stats on your performance, but I understand a result. You did manage to get a win throughout season 3, and I believe you had a couple of top 5 finishes at least.
Yep, I got a win the opening race at Kentucky last season. Fixed setup on Saturday nights, and I always felt like I was pretty competitive with the fixed setups, because everybody's driving the same thing. And then I got a win at Homestead on the Sunday night series, and actually I have to credit Sean Brown with that. Dan too. Dan, I believe, was racing that race, and Sean was also racing, but something happened. He got mixed up in a wreck or something there, and he come on and spotted for me, and Sean was a big help too. I mean, because sometimes it goes in the ear and out the other, and Sean stuck with me the whole race. He spotted big time for me, and he held me back until he told me it was time to go, and I went, and I got to give credit there too.
You bet. And I tell you what, by looking at the points for the Saturday Night DB Tech Saturday Night Thunder Series, you're sitting at 3rd right now. Of course, this is after one race, but are you hopeful that you'll be able to maintain at least a top 5 over there?
I'm hoping to win that series, man. I've come in the top 5 in the series, all 3 series, all past series I've run there. I got to keep up with the Mullicans and the Miltons. Those guys are fast, and that race at Kentucky last week, I couldn't figure out how to make the car turn, and those guys figured it out. So that's something I have to continue learning. But I hope to win a championship there.
I'll tell you what, being a student of Dan White certainly, affords you an opportunity to at least do that. Dan White, of course, a former champion here at RaceSimNation.com. I believe he's a 3-time champion in all 3 series, Cup, the Truck Series, and I think one of the Weekend Series. I don't recall which, Again, a lot of the stats that we were looking forward to using this season are just flat gone because of some of the changes made in the league. But I'll tell you what, sitting third right now, of course, one race in the books over at the DB Texas Saturday Night Series. A lot of racing left to do this series, another 11 weeks. We've got some team racing coming up on Wednesday night. Now, I understand you're on the Dragon Motorsports team, and Wendy Bernard has taken over for her son last season, about midway last season. How's that working out for you?
That's working out great because Wendy's she's hands-on. You know, when she come on, I thought, you know, okay, this is going to be David Bass's mom, and it's going to be good to have her aboard. But I figured she'd kind of be sitting in the back, you know, just being the team owner. But she's hands-on, and she gets in there and she wants to play the strategy game, and it worked out for us for the first team series race. We tried to keep all of our cars together, and I believe we were the first team to have all the cars in the top 10, and we would have had all of them in the top 10 at the finish here, but there was a bit of an accident behind us. But you know, we hope to challenge for the series championship in that series too.
You bet. Yeah, you know, I think she's been paying attention to some of these races, especially on Wednesday nights, the team series. So, hey, strategy does pay off, and I'll tell you, you know, me and Tracy sit up there in the booth on Wednesday nights, and of course we call the races. A lot of things we see and don't see, but we do see something happening with Dragon Motorsports, and we wish you guys all the luck. Dave, thanks for being with us tonight and sharing some of the information. You and Dan White spending season 3 together. Of course, Dan White sitting that season out and coaching, acting as pretty much a live spotter, pit crew, and crew chief for the number 8 machine. And thanks for being with us tonight.
Hey, thanks, JD. Appreciate all you do, bud.
And now I'd like to direct your attention trackside as national recording artists, the Cactus Cuties, present our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Hey, this is J.D. Webb with ETV Live. I wanted to tell you about a special event happening next week, sponsored by RaceSimNation.net. There's a young boy in Atlanta, Georgia, along with many other children, that could use a little help in making their lives just a little brighter with the fight against cancer. This will be a benefit race held at Kentucky Speedway, and all donations will be going to Children's Health Care of Atlanta to help fund research in finding cures and treatments for childhood cancers. The race will be held on Friday, September 30th at 8:30 p.m., and it'll be broadcast live on ETV Live and feature a special pre-race show. So load them up on the haulers and head on over to RaceSimNation.net to get signed up. It'll be first come, first served, so look for the sign-up link when you get there, RaceSimNation.net. The young boy in Atlanta I was speaking of earlier, his name is Gavin Lake, who was diagnosed with stage 3 Willen's tumor cancer. He's the 3-year-old grandson of one of our members here at the Nation, and we'll tell you more about him on race night, September 30th. We'll see you there. All right, and we are live, Loudon, New Hampshire Motor Speedway tonight, and we have experienced a little bit of technical difficulty tonight. However, I hope you enjoyed the pre-race show. New Hampshire tonight, Tracy, and I tell you, the one driver that we've been kind of keeping our eye on all through practice, and in the first practice session, he got his name pretty high up there on the board. That's going to be Larry Mulligan. He's been here twice, once in June and once in July, both times placing in the top 5.
Yeah, he was up there running the top 5, being very consistent with his laps time. I didn't see Larry spin out too many times during practice. Okay, they got that car hooked up pretty good, but I tell you, everybody's got to be watching. The exit of these corners, the cars tend to get really loose exiting, JD.
You bet. And Wendy Bernard, she's the team owner of Dragon Motorsports, and she's going to occupy a place up here in the booth with us tonight. Wendy, I'll tell you what, you gave us some information on the New Hampshire track, and it sounds like that granite mixed in with that asphalt probably going to do a number on those tires, huh?
Oh, I think you're right there, JD. We're going to have to kind of keep an eye on what they're doing and see how many of them come in and how often they change those tires out.
Yeah, you bet. I don't have a clue. We didn't spend any time down in the garage, so I don't have any clue, Tracy, unless you picked up some information from the guys, how many laps we're looking at as far as tire wear goes here. But I venture to say it's not going to be too many, 125 laps here at New Hampshire. That could do a number on tires. I'm thinking maybe 50, 60 laps. Is that what you're thinking, too?
Yeah, I'm thinking right around the 60-lap mark. Usually on these races you can make it halfway if you take care of your tires out there. Fuel is usually not too much of an issue. I think that goes up right around 70 laps up there, so fuel's fine. But, yeah, the tires are going to be the issue, especially I was listening to some of the drivers. They were complaining about the right rear getting really hot on them and making that car loose on the long run, JD.
You bet. And qualifying underway. This will be the second time tonight the drivers had to qualify. Technical glitches ahead of the clock here a little bit, but I'll tell you what, these guys love to race, so qualifying 2 or 3 times a night, hey, they don't care. Tony Bowling, number 1 on the board right now, Frank Jockman, Howard Pittman, that's only after a couple of laps here. It looks like Tony's crossed the finish line at a 28.712, but don't know that that's going to be good enough. We see times down in the 28.3s, Tracy.
Yeah, and I tell you, the guy who put that car down that 28.3 was at 42. He would just put in a blistering lap out there on the track, JD, and tell you what, he was like a 10th faster than everybody else, that Kevin Brents.
Yeah, you know, another one to look forward to tonight, too, is Dan White running that number 4 machine coming off of hiatus. We heard his interview last week from Richmond, Dave Hooten this week at New Hampshire, talking about the teamwork that they did, that they had together here last season, Season 3 here at Halls on Post Monday Night Series. And Dan White out there running Season 4 with us, so we'll look for him to at least be up in the top 3 or 4 here by the time qualifying gets over. Larry Mulligan has not taken the track yet. Howard Pittman has put down a time so far, 29.554, still not good enough to move anywhere. Dwayne Hall in the books with 2 laps down, 28.567, so I think Dwayne Hall might be looking at least a top 8, if not top 6 starting position here, Tracy.
Yeah, that was Dwayne's first lap, so he's out there on the second lap. He didn't make an improvement on that lap, JD. His second lap was a 28.700, so he'll be sticking with his time of a 28.56 as we wait for the next cars to get out. Looks like Roger Haygood has hit the track, and so has Jerry Hinkle.
Hey, Matt, for our viewers out there, I tell you what, you take a look up there on the left side of your screen, positions. Those are the top 10 positions. They'll change here until we get done with qualifying, then you'll see it live. the qualifying order as they change. And looks like Roger Haygood laying down a pretty decent lap, 28.667. He's got a couple of more laps to go here. Tony Bowling still hanging on to him. You know what, 28.7. But there's a number of guys, including Bunn. Dan White has not qualified. Hooten should be up there. James Greegate looking for him for at least a top 5. So it may be that Tony Bowling slips out of that number 3 spot.
Yeah, you'll see that leaderboard changing quite a bit as I see Larry Mulligan. He got a lap in a 28.778, and also Hal Beard with a 28.93, JD.
You've got Tony Bowling still hanging on to that number 3 spot. There's a Larry Mulligan in with a 28.559 for the top spot, moving Dwayne Hall down one. Haygood Bowling slipping to 4th. Bunn on the track with 2 laps down, 28.730. And Dan White fills in the number 1 spot, Tracy, with a 28.4.
And then you got the 65 of Sean Brown. He got 1 lap in. He ran a 28.59. I tell you that 21 of Tony Bowling is slow. It's going to look like he's going to be moving out of that top 10 as Jesse Seamus just passed him with the 28.709, JD. And it looks like James Greegate has took over the top of the 4.71, and now here comes Kevin Brentz. He just ran a 28.3.16, JD.
There you go, and I believe that's going to set your field right there. Brentz, Greegate, White, Mulligan. Mulligan, the one we're looking at tonight. Dwayne Hall, Kyle Lent, Sean Brown, Roger Haygood, Dave Hooten up in the top 10, Wendy, and Jesse Racines making up the top 10 for your starters tonight, guys. Wendy, it's got to feel pretty good to have Dave Hooten up there in the top 10.
Oh, it feels absolutely fantastic from my point of view.
Wendy is the team owner of the team that Dave Hooten runs on, Dragon Motorsports, and I believe we're going to skip happy hour, guys, and go right to race, if I'm not mistaken. So hang on to your seats. This will be a wild ride here for about a minute. I think the admins are trying to get things situated here as they get things rolling. We should be slipping over to race mode here just shortly, but we'll give the admins time to get that all straightened out.
Yeah, they got them out there. They're out there with the gauges, also checking the spoiler angles, making sure that all these cars are legal before they hit the track too, JD.
Passing inspection before we go on the track. Now that's what they ought to be doing.
You never know when somebody might have a track bar still a little too far out, as we found out this weekend. And NASCAR with Kurt Busch, his car didn't get pushed out of line until the last second due to the fact his track bar was adjusted way too far before the race, JD.
All right, and I'll tell you what, last season's Halls on Post season champion Jason Riddle with a DQ on his qualifying run. Going to be starting 20th position tonight, guys.
Yeah, it looks like we're heading into race, JD, so we'll have to get started on the rundown of the position tonight.
You bet starting out on the pole tonight is going to be the number 42 car, Kevin Brentz, with a 28.31, Tracy.
And starting second, last week's winner, the number 7 of James Greegate.
And starting the third position tonight at New Hampshire, the number 4 of Dan White.
Starting in fourth, the 27 of Larry Mulligan, the car to keep an eye on tonight, JD.
And Dwayne Hall in the 55 machine, starting 5th.
Starting 6th to 16 of Kid Kyle Lent.
And the 65 car, Sean Brown with Crossed Up Motorsports, starting in 7th.
And starting in 8th, the 47 of Roger Haygood.
And Dragon Motorsports driver, the number 8, Dave Hooten, starting in 9th.
And in the 10th position, the wallbanger, Jesse Racines in the 70 car.
21, Tony Bowling, watched him at Richmond last week, duke it out with Ernie D'Alfonso, starting in 11th tonight.
And in 12th position, the 37 of Jay Bunn.
Stephen Spieth starting in 13th tonight.
Starting 14th, the 15 of Brian Pace.
Who's going to finish second? Hal Beardsworth starting in 15th.
Starting in 16th, the number 33 of Jerry Hinkle.
49 of Frank Jockman starting in 17th.
And starting in 18th spot, the 17 of Tom Plajinski.
Howard Pittman will be starting in 19th.
And starting in 20th position, the 96 of Jason Riddle.
And they call him the counselor. Joe DePino starting 21st tonight.
Starting 22nd, the 52 of Don Klein.
23rd position, Jason Krause.
And rounding out the field, the 24th position, the 98 of Kevin Franks.
As we come to get the green flag here, Kevin Brent's going to pick it up with Dan White in tow alongside James Greegate up there. That's the threesomes to start out. The guy to keep our eye on tonight is going to be that 27, Larry Mulligan. Talked about him just a little bit ago. Been here two times finished in the top 10, 1 second place behind Milhorn in June, guys. So keep an eye on Larry Mulligan as he still up here in the high line. But Kevin Brent's going to collect the flag this time around, at least get the points for the lead lap. But Dan White, I tell you, Dan White coming back off a season 3 hiatus with Dave Hooten, and he's putting the pressure on Kevin Brent already right from the start. That's the old Dan White that we know, Tracy.
Yep, he's sitting there. That's what he did last week. Stayed right at the front, put the pressure in the cars in front of him. But Dan had a real difficult time getting around James Greegate in the 42, but was able to lead a couple laps. As I'm watching him here on this first couple laps here, JD, to watch these cars, see if anybody's really getting loose off the corner. So far, it's all looking pretty good.
You bet. So far, so good. I was just comparing my notes here. We don't have a whole lot of statistics. We've had some changes take place throughout the week. Of course, the biggest change is we want to make sure and tell everybody tonight, change your bookmarks, racesimnation.net. The last three little letters at the end of the URL there, from .com to .net, racesimnation.net. But looking for my caution stats, one thing I want to make note of here, back in June, we had 13 cautions here, 125 laps. They came back in July, Tracy, and we only had 5. So we'll see what they can do tonight.
Yeah, like I said, get through these first 5 or 6 laps, JD. Get these tires warmed up. I know a lot of these cars are going to start loose on the setup. That way, as the run goes on, it helps them with that tight condition they're going to get out of the corners. And Jesse Racema's, boy, he just got loose, jumped on them brakes, got that car straightened out, and is now on the bottom side underneath Tony Bolin, JD.
And Sean Brown back here putting the pressure on Larry Mulligan for 7th position. Larry Mulligan able to hang on to that 6th place up there in front of Sean Brown, but Sean Brown was working the outside there, couldn't get it done, but Larry Mulligan hanging on to that 6th position up here, and that's probably familiar territory for Mulligan.
And the 7th, James Greegate, JD, he's gone up in there and taken that 2nd position. He's going after Kevin Brent's, trying to get underneath him in the corners. Ooh, got him a little bump, got the 42 a little sideways. JD did a little checkup, and Dan White just about got in the back of that 7, JD.
I tell you what, 5 laps into 125 lap, you know what, they probably should have started this on lap 120, and this is the kind of action that we usually see at about at lap 120, but Dan White putting the pressure on James Greegate right back to him out here in the front, guys.
Watch that corner there, JD. James drove a little too deep in the corner, his car pushed really high, and Dan White was just trying to capitalize by getting down on him, but that gave the 42 of Kevin Brent some breathing room. He's got like 2 or 3 car lengths ahead of the 7 of James Greegate.
Yeah, let's talk about Kyle Lent here for a bit. Started in 6th tonight, but he spent pretty much the entire night at Richmond up in the top 5. I believe he had a couple of hiccups. Looks like Dan White got on the brakes there. Brake smoke coming off of her, tire smoke coming off of his tires. But Kyle Lent pretty much spent the whole night up in the top 5, except for a couple of little hiccups. But Kyle Lent currently running in 4th, Tracy.
Yeah, Kyle Lent up there, he's doing a really good job. He's at the 55 of Dwayne Hall, pretty much right on his back bumper, waiting for Kyle to make a mistake. And I tell you, if you go back a few spaces back, then you got that 27 Larry Mulligan, and also that 60 of Sean Brown running together. And then we got another group of 4 cars. It looks like the 47 of Roger Haga just got in the corner, a little out of shape there, as the 8 of Dave Houghton was able to get onto the outside of him, JD.
I believe Wendy, don't they have a nickname for Dave, or was it Tracy that came up with that nickname, Hootie or Hootin' or something?
Hootenanny, that would be Dwayne Hall.
Hootin'.
We call Dave, we call him Hoot down around the hollers.
Hootin'?
Yep, Dave Hootin'. We just call him Hootin'.
Hall and Hootin'. Yeah, pushed way up, coming off, looks like turn 4 there. Tony Bowling in behind him now. Tony running in 9th. And Tony had a good finish at Richmond last week, but putting the pressure on Dave Hooten. Looks like he's going to get him coming off of turn 4 here, heading down the front stretch, guys. But Tony Bowling taking over from Dave Hooten. But I'll tell you what, 10 laps into this thing, 125 laps tonight here at New Hampshire, so a lot of racing left, guys.
Yeah, I tell you, they got that 16 of Kyle Lind up on the high side. Dwayne Hall was able to get underneath the 16. He gave him plenty of room to get down there underneath him. Now the 27 of Larry Mulliken has made the pass around that 16. And Sean Brown wasn't able to get his nose up underneath the 16 there and take that spot, but looks like he might get him coming into 1 there, JD.
Yeah, back here in 12th place, Steven Spies was giving Jay Bunn a run for the money. Jay Bunn able to get around him on the outside, coming around turn 2 here, guys. Oh, smoke coming off of Jesse Racimas. Managed to hang on to that car. Man, I'll tell you what, that is absolutely worth a second look, John Wessing. The number 70, Jesse Racimas, almost getting sideways here, coming off the turn. Managed to hang on to that car and stay in line. Got the pedal to the metal, but slipped back to about 14th there.
Yeah, he's coming into turn 1 here, and it seems like these guys are having a lot of trouble brake issues here in the early going at New Hampshire Speedway. And he's just going to get wicked loose coming off turn 2. Don't hit the wall of fame or anything. Spectacular job by that 70 Red Bull machine of Jesse Racimas.
Unbelievable. I'll tell you what, Jesse the wall banging Racimas. Hanging on to that car, that's got to be the RSN good move of the night. I'll tell you what, Tracy, Jesse hanging on to that car, what a ride.
Yeah, but the only bad part about the whole thing, JD, is he's got some angry tires underneath that car right now. Look for that car to stay on that loose condition. It's really tough on this track to be able to slow down enough to get them tires to cool off when you slide them all like that, JD.
Yeah, you bet. And right behind Hal Beardsworth up there, Brian Pace back here in 13th. Got a little piece of the wall, looks like coming off of turn 2 back here, but Brian Pace holding down a 13th position up here. The caution comes out for the first time here at New Hampshire, guys. Looks like Dan White and the number 4 machine going around, and we'll see if we can't pick that up on the replay here and find out what happened to Dan here, guys.
Okay, leave this yelling.
Looks like he just got it loose and just coming off the turn there, John.
Trying to cue this up now, see what happened. I seen some brake smoke right in front of him there, but that don't seem to affect it. Boy, it looks like Dan White it almost looks like a gear shift wrong or something here, because it just a quick snap around.
Yeah, I tell you, got a few cars collected up in that too, JD. The 55 of Dwayne Hall, he's got side damage. The 27 of Larry Mulliken, he tried to squeeze on the outside wall. He's got side damage, and that 16 of Kyle Lind just hits the right rear to his left front of his car and took a lot of damage too, JD.
Yeah, you bet. Be interesting to see what happens to Larry Mulliken. Larry Mulliken, we think up here in the booth, the man to beat tonight, but unfortunate for Dan White. Looks like he just lost it there coming off the turn, guys, but tough luck for that number 4 machine.
JD, I'm going to try and cue this back here. Dwayne Hall, what a narrow miss there for him. He's going to come into the corner, and he's going to see Dan White here, and he's going to slide up against the wall, guys. He misses Dan White. In fact, I thought he missed Dan White. He might not have. He just barely caught his front end, knocks him hard into the outside wall. Guy's going to blow out his right front tire. Bad start for Dwayne Hall here tonight.
Unbelievable, but I tell you what, caution number 1 coming out here at New Hampshire. For the first time tonight, Dan White, the one bringing it out here about, we'll call it lap 15. So I'll tell you what, we're going to go ahead and step away. We're going to take our first commercial break, but hey, you're not going to miss a thing. Keep your eye on the screen. as we take our first break. Calls on Post Monday Night Racing Series.
Okay,
We'll be right back.
For all cars. We pit now.
All right, the Sim Factory. I tell you what, you want to strap one of these babies on and get out here and race with some of the best online racers ever found out here online, then go to the Sim Factory and pick up the ARCA Sim Racing game, $49, cowboy, and you can do this too. But I tell you what, we do have some more fun up here in the booth. Wendy Bernard alongside us up here, but Wendy, that buffet looks awfully good.
That's everything I could find barbecue buffet back there, guys, so step back there and enjoy some of it.
Everything you can find barbecue buffet. There you go. I'll tell you what, back when Tracy, now Tracy, this ain't nothing against you, my friend, but you just ain't got the cooking skills that our lady Wendy here has. So, but I tell you what, that food tastes really good back there.
That would be some stuff straight from the haulers to you, JD. I talked to Wendy early, and she went down to each one of the, they always got their own cooks there in each one of the haulers, and she pretty much grabbed the plate from each one and brought it up to the booth. And tell you what, those cooks down there in them haulers really do a nice job.
I'll tell you what, that's the only team that I know that brings its own chefs. I'll tell you, them boys on the Dragon Motorsports team are about spoiled little brats, ain't they?
Yeah, I think they even have ice cream for when they're upset.
Is that true, Wendy? You got an ice cream maker down there, too?
Oh, yeah. Got an ice cream maker, and yes, they're spoiled. Spoiled, and drivers are happy drivers. Happy drivers make me happy.
There you go. Spoiled drivers are happy drivers, and happy drivers makes Wendy happy. I'll tell you what, that's a mouthful right there. Back out here on the track, though, Kevin Brent, your leader out here, James Greetgate behind him, Larry Mulligan, two-time winner here at New Hampshire in the last couple of seasons. Sean Brown behind him, Kyle Lent making up the top 5 here as we get set to retake the green flag. Pace car is going to pull off and head down pit road. Kevin Brent's going to pick this one up one more time here. Of course, he's your pole sitter tonight. Pretty much stayed out in front all race long here up until that first caution. But taking the green flag, we're back to racing again, Tracy.
Yeah, but let's get back out on the track. Hopefully caution, don't breed caution, JD. Everybody should have some fresh tires. Made the adjustments they needed and got back there on the track, got a full tank of fuel. Probably want to look at seeing these guys come in for at least 60 laps if all goes well, JD.
You bet. No, one thing we haven't talked about here yet as we get going here is the track temperature out here. Ambient temperature sitting at about 81 degrees, guys. Track temperature heating up here a little bit, which is going to change the handling of these cars. Track temperature sitting at about 92 degrees. Hey, it's a sunny day here in New Hampshire, but I'll tell you what, these track temperatures get up, and the handling is probably going to tighten these cars up just a little bit, won't they, Tracy?
Yeah, if you've already got a tight condition, it's going to make that even worse. And I'm not too sure if these guys with these loose setups. Because looking at a lot of these guys, their car setups got looser the longer they run. But as we've been talking to some of these drivers, the pace of these races has been stepped up so much, it's almost hard to take care of your tires and stay up with the fast group, JD.
Yeah, you bet. There's Kyle Lent and the 65 Sean Brown duking it out back here coming down the front stretch for 5th place here. Sean Brown working that upper lane up here, but Kyle is going to get the best of it. Keeping Sean Brown at bay on the outside here. Sean can't get the job done. Going to give Kyle Lent just a little rub on the bumper there. Hey, kid, I'm back here too, as they get going down the backstretch here.
Yeah, I was just checking back on something there, JD. The 77 of Jason Krause just about lost it coming off of 4. I seen him was slowed down and pace compared to the rest. Just wanted to check what was going on. But he got Dan's car straightened up. Dan White was able to get around him. So Dan White's trying to work his way forward there, JD.
Yeah, Dan White coming off that first caution there on lap 15, but back here with Jesse Racines in 9th position. Jesse's already hit the wall a few times, hence the name Wall Banging Jesse Racines. But he's been duking it out here with Brian Pace in that ETB machine, number 15 machine. As Brian Pace gets sideways into the inside wall, no caution yet, guys. Still going forward. Brian Pace coming off that turn with Jesse on the outside, just went head first into the inside wall, guys.
Yeah, it looked like the 15 of Brian Pace just trying really hard to get around that 7. He got loose, got a lot of damage on his left front. He's had a left front tire down. You'll see him limping around the track trying to get back around to that crew so they can get that flat tire back on and pull out that fender, JD. It looks like he's got 2 front flat tires, JD. He can't even make the turns, JD. He's really slow on the track. Brian Pace has parked that car. He got to the pit lane. He couldn't steer it anymore and put it behind the wall, guys.
All right, Brian Pace out of the race for tonight. Going to take a DNF on lap 24 here. I tell you what, rough night for that 15 machine. But back out here in front, we might as well take you down through the top 10 here, Tracy. Kevin Brent, your leader here tonight. Kevin Brent is also the second place in the Hauled On Post Monday Night Racing Series points. But tell you what, doing a fantastic job, qualified on pole here tonight.
Yeah, he's got the 7 of James Grigade, the person who finished first last week. So you've got the 2 cars that were 1 and 2, and I'm sure that Kevin Brent is thinking, I got to keep that 7 behind me, lead the most laps, try to get it up to that point lead, take it away from James Grigade.
You bet. And running in third, 27 car, Larry Mulliken. Of course, we've been talking about him all night. He's the one that we're keeping our eye on here. Finished twice in the top 5 here in June and July, and in the June race he managed to finish second behind Tim Milhorn here at New Hampshire, guys. So Larry Mulliken currently running in third.
And running in fourth right now is that 16 of Kyle Lent. It looks like Larry Mulliken's, he got in there, got a little bit of damage. Looks like his team may have put just a touch too much tape on his car as he was. You see a little bit of steam coming out of his out reservoir tube following down him on the long stretch. But the 2 damages Kyle Lent and Larry Mulliken got didn't seem to affect him. But Kyle Lent just went to go enter the corner in there in 3. Not too sure what happened, but his car really got out of control, and he just got up into the outside line, JD.
You bet. And back here in 4th position, the 65 car of Sean Brown. And Sean Brown in 4th position back there, guys. Crossed Up Motorsports giving up the True Gravity Arch machine. Of course, Sean Bickel AWOL the last half of the season in the team racing series. But Sean Brown moving into 4th position in hanging on to his own up here, Tracy.
Yeah, who moved up into 5th spot is number 8 of Dave Hooten. He got around that 16 too when he got up in that wall there just a lap ago, JD. Looking for them 2 cars to be moving up. Yeah, Dave Houghton has got a really good car tonight. Seems to be running in that top 10. Able to hang up in the top 5 and 6, though. Look for a good night out of that number 8 of Dave Hooten.
You bet. And we've talked about Kyle Lent already. Back here in 7th place is going to be the 99 car, Steven Spieth. Steven Spieth putting on a pretty good ride here tonight. And don't have any statistics from him from New Hampshire before. Of course, like I said, we've had some things happen here in the last week or so, and our database has kind of been wiped out. So we're kind of starting from scratch. But Steven Spieth hanging on to a 7th place run here at New Hampshire. Tracy?
Yeah, and back up in 8th spot is now the number 4 of Dan White. Obviously, that damage hasn't affected him too bad as he's able to come from the back and work his way forward. And good recovery right now for Dan White as he's running in the 8th position, JD.
You bet. And 21 car Tony Bowling running in 9th position. Remember him and Ernie D'Alfonso going after it last week, actually 2 weeks ago at Richmond, and placing, I believe it was 5th to Ernie D'Alfonso's 4th place finish, but neck and neck finish there. Probably one of the most exciting finishes we've seen in a long time coming from Richmond. But Tony Bowling currently running in 9th.
Yeah, right now running in 10th spot, last year's season's champion, that 96 of Jason Riddle. Looks like he's trying to keep a nice even pace, keep care of his tires, but he's been slowly moving up, not making any huge strides, but he started way back in like the 17th spot tonight, JD. So he's made his move up to 10th spot there, JD.
And that's your top 10 so far. But I'll tell you what, 34 laps in the books here at New Hampshire already. And Wendy Bernard, got to tell you, that food back here on the buffet table was just outstanding. Managed to sneak back there during that last commercial. Got to hand it to your chefs. Really tasty stuff.
I'll be sure and pass the word to him there, JD.
All right. And Tracy Kyle Lent just having a bad night out here.
Yeah, it looks like he lost the handle of that car, JD. He's several times gone really high in the corners. He's fallen all the way back, I believe, to 10th spot now, JD. Nope, he's hanging about 9th, but it seems like he enters the corner and his car just takes off on him. He's got a real loose condition, so look for Kyle Lent just basically to be hanging on this car and hopefully hoping for another caution to not being him, JD.
Yeah, you bet. And I'll tell you what, unusual not to see, I didn't see Chris Wilson, that 84 machine on the grid here tonight. It's kind of an unusual not to see him on a Monday night race here. Chris Wilson, Jason Riddle duking it out last season. Of course, Jason Riddle coming out on top. But I'll tell you what, he did have a fight on his hands trying to upset Chris Wilson, move him off that number 1 seat in the Halls on Post Monday Night Pro Series of last season. But even Jason Riddle running back here in 10th, guys, kind of an unusual thing to see out of him, too. Typically a front runner, but staying inside the top 10, Tracy.
Yeah, kind of odd not to see Chris Wilson around, but, as we had Dan White, he kind of stepped aside there a little bit last year. The 7 James Greengate, he missed a few races. And hard to say what's going on with Chris Wilson. Probably got some stuff he's getting taken care of. But I tell you what, we're not too far from. It looks like we're getting a caution because these cars are really getting swirly on these guys and really handling bad. I'm keeping an eye on from the 77 forward, and tell you what, it's real close to these guys banging the walls or losing it off the corner, JD.
You bet. First caution coming out about 20 laps ago or so. 23, 24 laps ago. Dan White bringing it out. Of course, looks like he just kind of got loose on the turns coming out. But the 96 having issues too, Tracy?
Yeah, he just came off a corner forward, JD. That car just flat out went sideways on him. He was able to get on the brakes, get that car gathered back up. But it kind of looked like what happened to Jesse Seamus here quite a few laps ago, JD.
Yeah, I've been watching Kyle Lent back here. He seems to have backed it out just a little bit here. I think what he's doing is just trying to hang on to that car here and get to that next pit stop. Probably praying that a yellow comes out here. 77 Jason Krause sneaks up on his bumper back here. But I tell you what, both Krause and Kyle Lent just looks like they're just kind of, as the caution comes out for the second time, guys. Maybe that's the jinx that we just threw. See if we can't cycle around here and pick it up. Sounds like James Greengate bringing this one out, guys. We'll have to cycle around here and see if we can't figure out what happened. Looks like James Greengate just losing it all by himself, just like Dan White did. Looks like the same turn. I want to say turn 2 down here, John. Same place that Dan White lost it.
Yeah, so we cue this up, and yeah, you're exactly right. Just right in the center of turn 1 and 2 here. He's just got a slow, lazy spin, and don't believe he's going to get any damage. Just a perfect 360 in slow motion, guys.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, we don't see James Greengate do that very often.
Well, I got a stat so far tonight there for you, JD.
Okay.
Both cautions have came with 19 laps on the tires.
19 laps on the tires. Well, yeah, 19 laps. Lap 15, you figure 3 laps of, or 4 laps of qualifying, so yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well, we know what the threshold on these setups are at the moment. I can tell you, these guys have been running just blistering lap times. And tell you what, that's just going to heat up that right rear as we're seeming to find out as everybody's heading down pit road, except for there's 37 of Jay Bunn going to go out there and get him a lead lap bonus there, JD.
Yeah, bonus points are always important. The way they run the points here in the Halls on Post Monday Night Series. Looks like Brent's going to get off pit road first. Looks like Mulligan did a pretty decent job, and the 8 machine getting off pit road. They're in pretty good shape. James Greegate, of course, all 4 tires I'm sure have being changed there. Comes out. Looks like he come out about 6 or so. But I'll tell you what, caution number 2 coming out on lap 41, James Greegate bringing that one out. That's an unusual thing to see. But we're going to go ahead and step away, take a commercial break here. Hey, you're not going to miss a thing. Keep your eye on the screen, and we'll be right back. Whoa there, cowboy. Ain't no need to get the hammers out and tear it all up. What you need to do is get a hold of David Bass, DB Tech Services. Technology support offered at a price affordable to most churches, not-for-profits, and individual customers. I'll tell you what, David Bass, IT specialist, over 5 years at the corporate level. Hey, man, computer maintenance, hardware and software upgrades. I'll tell you what, David Bass, DB Tech Services, established specifically to provide lower-cost options to churches and non-profit organizations. So put the hammer away, dude. Get a hold of David Bass, DB Tech Services, dbtechservice.com. All right, we are back live. Of course, you didn't miss a thing down there. DB Tech Services. Hey, you got some computer problems, you want to get old David Bass. DB Tech Services, also sponsoring, I believe it's the Saturday night series here at RSN. It's either Saturday night or Sunday night. I can't remember which, Tracy. But tonight's race, sponsored by the Halls on Post Tax and Accounting Service. Of course, Halls on Post Monday Night Series, been that way for quite some time now. As we get set to take the green flag one more time here, Kevin Brent's going to pick it up again. And Larry Mulligan, Dave Hooten up there in the top 5 guys in 3rd position. And the number 7 car, James Greegate, of course, bringing out that last caution. And then rounding out the top 5, the 99 car, Steven Spieth, Tracy.
I tell you what, they did a great. James Greegate got really lucky. Didn't lose too many spots when he spun out. But it looks like the 4 of Dan White has caught speeding in pit road as he's being moved to the back of the pack, guys, as he was just up there in 6th spot when he came out of the pits. But looks like all that work is for naught as he heads to the tail end of the field there, guys.
Tail end of the longest line. Jesse Racino's also being shown down 1 lap as well, guys. I think that was probably due to an extra pit stop thrown in there somewhere by the 70 machine, but 70 car, Jesse Racino, certainly having his issues tonight, but another car we've been watching having some issues there late in the run is going to be that 16 car Kyle Lent, all the way back to the back, was running up there in the top 5 for a while, and then slipped all the way back. But coming around to take the green flag one more time here, I'll tell you what, Kevin Brent's going to pick it up, and Larry Mulligan keeping an eye on him tonight. Dave Hooten, James Greegate back here. James Greegate trying to get his confidence back after that spin. And it looks like he's got it as he puts the numbers to Dave Hooten right off from the get-go here.
Wow, we had somebody really have to get on the brakes going to that corner that time, JD, as they were smoking that tire. Looked like about 2/3 of the way around the corner.
Yeah, you bet. That's already 2x2 back here behind James Greegate. Spieth and Bowling going at it down here in the 21 and the 99 car. Tony Bowling trying to get the best of them coming off the turn here, going down the front stretch. Spieth's going to beat him into the turn here, but I got a funny feeling Bowling's going to want to get it right here going to the turn. Spieth's getting just a little bit out of shape. Can't hang on to it. Going to have to give it up to Tony Bowling. That outside only good for a couple of laps. Then, hey, you got to get down there on the bottom and try to make it work down there as Tony Bowling gets the position, guys.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's got a great start these guys made. Nobody getting into each other. We made it through to 2 laps, and but a few cars were getting loose, some great saves. But I tell you, that 42 of Kevin Brent just pretty much drove away from Larry Mulligan there. He's got a good 2 or 3 car lead on him with the old number 8 of Dave Hooten right on the 27 bumper, JD.
You know, Dave Hooten, like you said in the pre-race show, spent some time with Dan White last season and got a whole bunch of good pointers from Dan. And I'll tell you what, you can see the results of it happening out here now. And even talking to Dave after the interview, even kind of surprised him a little bit. Dave doesn't have a whole lot of experience, just a couple of years in this online racing arena. But I'll tell you what, hooking up with Dan White, certainly you can see the results of it out here on the track. In fact, as he mentioned in the interview, Tracy, Dave Hooten's already won a couple, managed to stay up in the top 5, and I believe he's currently in 3rd in the points in the Saturday night series. You bet. And I'll tell you what, something else we need to mention here. You watched the commercial here probably a couple of times here on ETV, but it's also playing up on the YouTube site, YouTube JD Webb 56, if you want to go see it. It's going to be the cancer awareness race coming up on the 30th of this month, next Friday night, or actually this Friday night. But you don't want to miss that race, and for all you drivers out there, there's still room to sign up. I believe we've got 31 or 34 cars from what Dwayne Hall was telling me, already signed up and ready to go. But you don't want to miss that. It's going to happen right here on ETV Live. You don't want to miss the race itself. Kentucky Speedway, September 30th, guys. It's a good cause to get involved for. Young man Gavin Lake with Willen's tumor cancer, kind of what this thing's all about. But the benefit is for all the kids back there at Children's Cancer Center there in Atlanta, Tracy.
Yeah, it's a great cause, and for people who want to watch a race and possibly, I'm sure, donate to the cause, I'm sure they'll have a way for them to send in some money to go to this children's event. Any money that can be raised to help those hospitals with research and also for the doctors, help pay for medicine to take care of these children is well worth it.
You bet. And back out here on the track in 14th position back here, looking at Dan White as he just gets past the counselor, Joe DePino. Dan White trying to hook it back up, get back up to where he once belonged, up here in the top 5 at least. Dan White having some issues on pit road, speeding penalty, set him back a couple of notches here, working to get it back, Tracy.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what's going on with the 16 of Kyle Lind. I think he got quite a bit of damage when he had all those issues with his turning. He got in the wall a few times. He already had left front damage, and looks like his car is pretty much stalled back here. Isn't really moving forward, but he isn't going backwards either. And Dwayne Hall is right back in here, following the 37 of Jay Bunn, who's right behind the 16 of Kyle Lind. Looks like he's looking to get underneath the Kyle and move up his position on him, JD.
You bet. And we're talking about cars sliding around and tire issues and everything else. Wendy Bernard gave us the track information there in the pre-race. This asphalt track is made up with a lot of granite in it, and kind of reacts the same way as the track out here in California does. Of course, not so much anymore because it's worn down and rubbered up pretty good. But they first built that track out here. It's the aggregate, local aggregate, used to be the bottom of the ocean, so it's nothing but seashells. I remember drivers talking that used to be like driving on razor blades. But I'll tell you what, if that 19-lap, your 19-lap statistics hold true here, we're only about 6 or so laps, 4 or 5 laps away from it. And we should be seeing the results of tire wear here in the next few laps, Tracy.
Yeah, we've got to keep on that, check on that number, see how these cars start to handle. We'll be able to see who's made some good adjustments on their car. Looks like we've got it right around, 10 laps on these tires now, JD, to 10, to 11? Yeah,
probably a little bit more than that, but tell you what, we're looking for issues to start coming around about lap 62 or so. So we've got a few more laps to go here with it, but keep an eye on things. Kevin Brent still holding his own out there in front, qualifying on the pole. I'll tell you what, Tracy, Kevin Brent, he's done this a few times before, started from the pole and then come back around on the last lap and collect that checkered flag.
I tell you, he's got a heck of a setup for this track right now. His car seems to run nice and clean. I didn't really see too much of his car getting loose coming off the corners. Like it just comes out of the corners. He gets a lot of good forward bite in that car and just Motors on Ford, he's put quite a bit of a distance between him and Larry Mulligan, JD.
Yeah, you know, I'm still a little bit surprised here. I keep watching back here in the 11th position, that 96 machine of Jason Riddle. Jason Riddle just doesn't seem to have it together here at New Hampshire. Of course, he's rubbing bumpers with Hal Beardsworth up there in front. Hal does an outstanding job of covering the bottom here, and he's not going to let you get around unless he wants to let you get around. As Jason Riddle's working over the 3-car going down the backstretch, trying to get the run on it going into the turn. Looks like he's going to get it. I'll tell you what, that number 3 car, Hal Beardsworth, just making it real tough for Riddle to get around, Tracy.
Yeah, I tell you what, he's not going to appreciate that. Tell you what, Riddle got into the back from there on the exit of 2 to get him to move with that track, give him that space down low. And then when he went into 3, Riddle got down and caught that apron, which pushed his car high, and he slid into the side of that number 3. Nobody got loose or spun out, but we know Hal Beardsworth, he doesn't appreciate getting bumped any time around these tracks, JD.
No, no, I tell you what, I've been in front and behind that number 3 car down there, and I tell you what, he's probably the best one out there for covering up and putting the block on you coming into the turns. But he will not give the position up to you. You've got to earn it from him, and maybe there's much to say about that.
You know, it's, Dan White is caught up with the back of the old Hal Beardsworth machine and find out how Dan's able to get around him. But so far, it looks like everybody's running on single file line right at the moment, JD. The 52 of Don Klein, he's slowly working his way forward as he's on the back bumper of that 65 of Sean Brown. We haven't talked much about Don tonight, but looks like he's got a decent car and just taking his time to get to the front, JD.
Yeah, you bet. There's Dan White trying to put it to the number 3 car up here. Just can't get it up there. But I'll tell you what, Hal Beardsworth just kind of giving him a peekaboo. Say, hey, come on up here, Dan White. I'll give you a little bit of a shot at it. And then he shuts the door on him, and they can't get the job done. As White coming off of turn 4 here, tried to come around the bottom here. It looks like Beardsworth getting out of shape, going on the front stretch, guys. Dan White's going to try it on the outside here. Isn't going to do it. I'll tell you what, we're already about 19 or 20 laps into this thing from that caution. So I'll tell you what, Dan White's tires can't be in the best of condition to try to make a pass on the outside.
Yeah, we like to call these laps the spin zone. Hopefully, like I said, these guys made some adjustments. They all know their cars are getting loose here right around lap 19. Hopefully their crew chiefs got out there, tightened them guys up for the longer run, and we can keep everybody moving forward, JD.
You bet. I'm still back here with White getting out of shape one more time into the outside wall. No caution. Dan White trying to make the move on Hal Beardsworth up here coming off the turn. Couldn't get the job done. Dan White in trouble here at New Hampshire tonight. Down on the apron. He's going to be heading in, going down pit road here. Guys, I'll tell you what, don't see that out of Dan White hardly ever at all, guys.
Yeah, I'm queuing this up, guys. See what happened here. And the old fart Hal Beardsworth really holding up that 4-car Dan White, and he just gets loose just like Riddle did. I mean, when he was behind him trying to get around, hardly the outside wall, blowed out right front tire. Dan White's coming down pit road, guys.
Yeah, unbelievable. I'll tell you what, you don't hardly ever see Dan White make mistakes like that, but that's going to set Dan White down not just one lap, but by the time he gets out of pit road, Tracy, he may be 2 laps down here at New Hampshire, and awful tough to try to get those 2 laps back here. 66 laps in the books, guys. Almost a little better than halfway here, almost not quite halfway here at New Hampshire, but it's going to be real tough for Dan to try to get those laps back.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the cautions haven't been coming that fast as the 3 of Hal Beardsworth. He gets around that 77 of Jason Krause. But yeah, the cautions haven't been coming that fast, especially if it's every 19 laps. But it looks like we're getting maybe through that section of where the tire wear gets looser, and possibly maybe that condition only lasts for maybe 4 laps, JD, and these guys will keep going on a long run.
Yeah, it looks that way. Is Dan White back out on the track 2 laps down? That's going to set Jesse Versemus up for the lucky dog should it come around here tonight at New Hampshire. But I'll tell you what, tough night here for a lot of these guys at New Hampshire Speedway. But and we haven't run this track very often, Tracy, and maybe that's one of the reasons
All right,
why.
yellow flag. Back it down.
As the caution comes out for the third time tonight, guys, see if we can't cycle around and pick it up. Looks like it's the 99 car. Steven Spieth bringing this one out, guys. See if we can roll it around here and find out what happened to Steven Spieth, John.
See if we can cue it up, and I imagine this is about the same identical spot as he's trying to work over Sean Brown at 65 car. Comes out of the corner, going to get ever so loose. Looks like he's starting to get tight not to hit that outside safer barrier here. And just like a slow, lazy spin like we've been seeing all night through the grass and the dry sand here.
Yeah, caution number 3 here at New Hampshire. And Spieth not picking up too terribly much damage here. Looks like probably not any damage at all, just 4 tires and fuel once he gets down there on pit road, Tracy. But I'll tell you what, New Hampshire eating them up tonight.
Yeah, it looks like about a 20 lap run, and these tires are pretty much chewed up and used up. Looks like our magic numbers anywhere between 18 to 25 laps on tires tonight before they're just so chewed up and corded that they lose all traction and get loop around there, JD.
You bet. And that was about a 28. We'll call it about a 27, 28 lap run there from the last caution. Last caution coming out on lap 41 with the 7 car, and then this one coming out here on lap 69, the 99 car. Steven Spieth going around, same place as Dan White, James Greegate, and now Steven Spieth, guys.
That nice race off pit road there. The 42 came out first, 7 came out in second position, and the 27 Lerma came out in third there, JD.
Larry Mulkin, he's the guy that we're watching tonight, been able to stay up here in the top 10, actually the top 5 pretty much all night long. Mulkin qualifying 4th tonight here at New Hampshire, guys. So I'll tell you what, he's been in the top 5 here twice, and curiously enough, not one single driver from either one of those races in June or July, their names, when you compare the 2 races, their names are not synonymous with either one of them. So Larry Mulkin seems to be the only one that has any luck here. So we'll see what happens to Larry when we cross the start-finish line on lap 125, should we be so lucky. I'll tell you what, why don't we go ahead and step away and take another commercial break here as we get to set and go green. You won't miss a thing as they get things straightened out down here on the track. The Hallsman Post Monday Night Racing Series from RaceSimNation.net. Sit tight. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back live, already taking the green flag. Of course, you saw that live, too. Kevin Brent's out there in front. That's about, the 4th green flag that he's picked up there, Tracy. James Greegate behind him, Larry Mulkin, and Don Klein up here in 4th position, guys. Tony Bolin hanging on to a top 5 position in 5th. So I'll tell you what, Don Klein finally working his way up into the top 5.
Yeah, I tell you what, he's been, like I said, slowly moving up as he works his way up there. He's kept his car really clean. Looks like Tony Bolin has moved up there in 6th spot, right behind that 52 Don Klein. Looks like he's going to try to make a move under him entering corner 3, and he takes over that spot, take over that 4th position, JD.
You bet. And, we were talking about Jesse Racines, wall banging Racines back here in 21st position. Of course, he was the recipient of the lucky dog, being the first car at 1 lap down, so he got to restart on the lead lap. That's going to set Dan White up for Lucky Dog. But, Tracy, Dan White's 2 laps down. We're 74 laps, call it 75 laps into this thing, halfway through. Don't know if there's enough time for Dan to pick up both laps or not.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tough. He'd have to have some cautions here fairly early to give him any time to even do with anything getting back on the lead lap there, JD.
Yeah, you bet. And I'll tell you what, Wendy Bernard, again, I was able to sneak back here to the buffet table. Outstanding food you placed back here, but I see, it's like John Wessling's been back there too. I see dribbles of barbecue sauce down the front of his shirt already.
Well, that means he's and enjoying it, so that's what matters.
I'll tell you what, John Wessling likes he's a rib lover. But I understand he spends a lot of time at Taco Bell, too. Is that right, John?
Oh, most definitely. I pretty much like all the food varieties there, J.D. Webb. I just, J.D., while I got the floor for a second, I just want to thank all the admins and the drivers for the patience this week. Been a really rough week here at RaceSimNation.net. That's .net, J.D. But everybody's pulled together here, the drivers, the community here at RaceSimNation.net. Everybody's just done a great job, and glad to be back here on there.
Yeah, you bet. You know, ups and downs, not an uncommon thing when you get involved with the online racing scene here, but I'll tell you what, we keep looking forward, and, you know, things just keep getting better and better here at ETV. Of course, you don't want to miss the new race, the special race, the benefit race coming up on Friday night. These Cup drivers are going to be here, along with a few others that have been signing up from all over the place. And that'll be broadcast live here on ETV, the benefit race for the Cancer Awareness Month. Of course, that's the month of September. But this is specifically for a young man back in Atlanta, Georgia. His name is Gavin Lake, 3 years old, has a Willen's tumor cancer, a very debilitating disease was not caught early. I understand he's going through chemotherapy and radiation treatment as we speak. But pretty tough life that young 3-year-old is going through right now. But I'll tell you what, ETV, next Friday night right here, 8:30 p.m., so you don't want to miss that. In the meantime, back out here at New Hampshire, you know what, Tracy? Kevin Brent just seems to have it hooked up, and he's just taking these guys for a ride. Of course, James Greegate been hanging out up here with him all night long. James trying to get the early run on things in at the start of the race, couldn't put it together. But I'll tell you what, James Greegate's another thinker. He'll sit back here and he'll just ride with you for a while until it's time to go.
Yeah, that'd be great. As long as this crew chief has figured out what to adjust in that car, that way when he gets right around that magical 20 lap mark, you know, his car is tightened up a little better for him. He's able to stay up with Kevin Brent. Because I got a feeling that Brent's setup is built for the long run, and I bet you he's just been kind of getting upset there with all these cautions because he's thinking, man, I'm just getting my car settled in, and the caution comes in. And tell you what, I bet you his concern is on the short run, because usually when you got a long run setup, you suffer on the short run, but he seems to be able to run a nice line, hold James Greegate back, and make him overwork his car, JD.
You bet. Caution average here at New Hampshire for the 2 races that we were here in the 2011 season runs at 9. We're far below that with about 42 laps or so left in the race, 43 laps left in the race here at New Hampshire. 3 cautions in the books tonight already, so things are looking pretty good here at New Hampshire. But I'll tell you what, look for trouble to come around lap 89 or so. We're only about 6 laps away. Tracy, that seems to be about the time, that 20 lap, 19-20 lap area where we see the most issues.
Yeah, so we're looking at possibly one more caution in this race. I mean, like I said, I'm sure the 42 Kevin Brent hopes there's no cautions, as his car just looks as stable as it can be out there. But I tell you, a lot of these other guys it just seems to be that magic number that they possibly maybe are overdriving their car in the corner a little too hard on that right rear tire, getting it too hot that it takes about 20 laps for the tire just says, okay, I'm done, I'm overheated, I'm not playing no more, guys.
Yeah, and Dan White, it looks like Dan White coming down pit road. Dan White putting it behind the wall tonight at Richmond, guys. Unbelievable, that number 4 machine as he drives it back behind the wall. and parks it in the stables back here. Dan White in the number 4 machine, calling it a night here at Richmond. That's unbelievable. Can't imagine Dan White doing something like that. Never seen that coming out of the number 4 car before in my life. So Dan White giving it up, guys.
Yeah, he took a pretty hard hit there on that outside wall there a while ago, JD, and I'm pretty sure he had a lot of his toe in and his steering was way out of whack, and it's probably very difficult to drive that car and keep it on the track. So he probably decided to park that car due to suspension damage, JD.
You bet. And I'll tell you, newcomer Wendy Bernard up here, owner of the Dragon Motorsports team, we need to get her, teach her to push that microphone button a little harder. It's okay to talk here, Wendy.
Well, I just didn't want to interrupt, guys. You're doing such a good job up there, and I'm watching the race and keeping tabs on everything. So, just keep doing what you're doing.
Keep doing what you're doing. Sounds like a coach to me. I tell you what, maybe we should make her the official ETV Live team owner or coach or something. Here is Don Klein. Don Klein's been duking it out up here with Dave Hooten a couple of times. Dave got around him here a couple laps ago. Don Klein getting it back from him. But Wendy, you got to be pretty proud of this number 8 machine out here. Been staying up in the top 10 pretty much from the get-go here at New Hampshire. And I think Dave started in 9th position, so hanging on to a top 10 here.
Oh, yeah, I'm most definitely proud of him. But you have to also remember that number 27 car runs for me on Wednesdays.
And he's running a little better than the 8 car at the moment.
A little better. Hey, how about up in the number 3 position better? Kevin Brents, James Greegate, Larry Mulligan, Tony Bowling, and Sean Brown. Sean Brown working his way up in the top 5, Tracy, tonight. That's your top 5 up here. And then, of course, you were talking about him a little while ago in that 96 machine, Jason Riddle, as Sean Brown just goes way wide, allowing Jason Riddle to get the bottom here for the pass. Jason Riddle's going to move up into the top 5, Tracy.
Yeah, I tell you, he's just been working his way forward. He's been quiet all night. We really haven't talked much about Jason Riddle. He kind of was hanging around there about the 10th and way back in there. I don't know if he was just trying to possibly save his car and save his tires for the end of the race here, but it seems to be working for him as he's moving forward. But I tell you, he's got a lot of distance to make up between him and Tony Bolin, JD.
You bet. I was just going down through the garages, seeing if we couldn't get a hold of that number 4 car, Dan White, but I think he may have left. He may have pulled one of those Elvis has left the building deals here, guys, as I can't seem to find him. So unfortunate. I was hoping to talk to Dan and find out what was going on down around the track. But Dan White in the number 4 machine out of the race here tonight. But I'll tell you what, up here in the front, Kevin Brents has just been, what do they call it, the Pied Piper up here? But I don't hear any flute music coming out of that 42 car.
JD, you were mentioning the 4 of Dan White. I just saw a Sanford and Son looking truck just head out and through the tunnel outside the track.
There you go, Sanford and Son, old rust bucket. Larry Mulligan getting a piece of the wall here just about a half a lap ago. In fact, might have been coming off of turn 4 there, or turn 2 there. Coming down the backstretch, Mulligan trying to keep it together. Of course, we are at that point. Start looking for trouble 20 laps into this thing. Remember our last pit stop, lap 69. So here we are on lap 93, guys. So trouble coming our way again, I'm sure.
And the worst part about the whole thing that irritates these drivers is when it happens, they can't save them. They just, once them cars get loose and tires this old, there's no catching them. You're just there for the ride and just hope that nobody runs into you. The 16 of Kyle Lynn just about lost it coming out of 2 there, JD.
Yeah, we've seen that happen to that 16 car before. And I'll tell you what, Kyle Lynch having a tough time here. 20 laps into this thing. And I tell you, Wendy Bernard telling us earlier about this track, about the asphalt and the granite. The granite really cuts these tires up down here. But, I'm back here in 16th position with the counselor, Joe DePino. And looks like Joe was kind of putting the pressure on Frank Jockman up here. But Joe DePino getting out of shape just a little bit here as the 55 car Dwayne Hall sneaks by on the bottom here, coming off of turn 4 here, going to make it coming down here on the front stretch.
Yeah, I tell you what a great job by Dwayne Hall getting around Joe DePino. Looked like Joe could have got to his back bumper there for a second coming out of the corner. But it looks like Larry Mulliken just got moved up as a 21. Tony Boland just got underneath Larry Mulliken to take over that third spot, JD. It looks like the 42 is starting to gap the field as we get into that 20 lap range.
Yeah, we'll see how long this lasts. I'll tell you what, Larry Mulliken doesn't give up that easily. But I'll tell you what, Wendy Bernard's got to be jumping up in her seat out here. Of course, new news come from the team series. 27 car Larry Mulliken signing on with the team, and that's going to make Larry Mulliken, Dave Hooten, Frankie Samanto, and who's the fourth one, Wendy?
Jody Johnson.
Jody Johnson, ETV Live journalist Jody Johnson, and the 14 machine. And that pretty much makes up the Dragon Motorsports team. But I'll tell you what, Larry Mulliken not letting Tony get too far in front of him, Tracy. Larry Mulliken, of course, he's the guy we've been talking about all night. The car to watch here at New Hampshire with 2 top 5 finishes here this season.
Yeah, it's been kind of an interesting night, JD, because most of our spins have been coming from a lot of cars running up front there. Not too many of them come from the back of the field this week, this night, JD.
Yeah, you bet. Kyle Lentz starting 6th, back here in 10th position, getting past number 3, Hal Beardsworth. Looks like Hal just gave it up to the 16, but fighting back out here on the bottom. Hey, this might be, hey, no, you don't, coming out of that number 3 car as he gets past the 16 of Kyle Lentz again. And I'll tell you what, Hal Beardsworth, you know, he just does not give up very easy. As Kylan almost getting sideways coming off of turn 4.
Evil tires on that 16 car, and I think that's the reason Hal Beardsworth got back around him. I think Kyle Lynn just came out of the corner as he touches the apron there a little bit, JD, and just got loose as he passed Hal Beardsworth, and I had to check up, and Hal just drove back around him again.
Yeah, Don Klein in the 7th position, working his way forward. He's got 65 car Sean Brown in front of him, and then about 6-7 cars in front of Sean. Jason Riddle up there in 5th position as Sean Brown gives it up to Don Klein. Don Klein on the move. He's got this thing figured out. 100 laps in the books, guys. 125 lap race tonight here at New Hampshire, the Halls on Post Monday Night Racing Series. And want to remind everybody, you know, we talked about the pre-race show, RaceMNation.net. Check your bookmarks, RaceMNation.net, N-E-T, not com.net. And big changes coming this week. And, of course, a lot of things happening. And for the guys that, you know, are still working on getting the game, have some patience. You'll get it. Run that SVN. Be patient with it. And it'll come to you. And don't forget, hey, the game size, the file size is like 8.9 gigabytes, so just be patient with it. But to tell you what, sliding away out here, guys, as Don Klein almost didn't make it out here in front of Sean Brown, sliding away up here. Jason Riddle way out in front of Don Klein up here in 5th position. But I'll tell you what, Kevin Brent's making this thing look like a cakewalk. He's about 10-15 cars from lapping the field tonight here, Tracy.
Yeah, JD, I've been watching the 16 car. He looks like he's a caution looking for a spot to happen. And it looks like a lot of these guys are on survival mode. That's why you don't see them racing really hard against guys. They get under them and just letting them go. Because everybody's doing everything he can just to keep these cars from spinning around, JD.
You bet. That 16 car running in 12th, giving up a couple of spots already. He's moving backwards already. Wicked loose car on that underneath that 16 machine. But I'll tell you the other one we've been working on too is Jesse Racines. Went a lap down here about lap 41 or so. And in fact, I think it was even earlier than that. Spent the early part of the race a lap down, got the lucky dog, worked it back, just outside the top 10 here, sitting in 11th, that 70 machine. Jessica wall banging Racines, trying to work over Jay Bunn up here in 10th.
It looks like the 7 of James Greget, his setup looks like it's falling off a little bit faster. as the 21 of Tony Bolin has got to the back bumper of that 7, trying to find a way around him. He's going to probably do it fairly as gently as he can. And those two guys are teammates, but looks like the 21's got a little faster car than that 7 does right now, JD.
Yeah, it does. And I'll tell you what, working over the bumper of James Greegate, and, you mentioned here teammates. You don't want to mess the race on Wednesday night. The new name, RSN Team Series, the Racing Nation Team Series on Wednesday nights here. And I'll tell you what, I got to get used to that, and it just caused me a whole lot more work. You don't have any idea how many commercials I got to go in and change just 3 little words, Tracy. 3 little letters.
That's why I added that last little suggestion there. Yes, JD, just don't put the dot nothing on there. Just put Race Sim Nation and leave it at that. That way, in case in the world of motorsports, if anything else changes, you don't need to change 3 little words.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, from one thing to another, but I'll tell you what, if it's not for John Westling changing the resolution on me, Tony Bolin putting the numbers to the 7 car, going down the backstretch here, James Greegate going to give it up to Tony Bolin. We'll see what happens here coming off of turn 4. Tony Bolin going to get the better of Greegate moving into 2nd, guys. But I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for John Westling, I probably wouldn't have nothing to do but sit around and get fat and watch TV all day, but he does keep me busy. I'll tell you what, 21 Tony Bolin and James Greegate are not giving it up to each other, as almost going 3 wide, almost 3 wide with Howard Pittman on the outside. Greegate backs it off, thinks twice of that move. I'll tell you what, that would have been suicide for sure with about almost 30 laps on these tires, guys. Oh, Greegate going around into the outside wall. Pittman involved. As the caution comes out. Oh, man.
I believe James Greegate is probably done there, JD. Oh, he got his car restarted. I was watching that, JD, there coming through 3 and 4. I was going to say, I hope James realized that 27's underneath him, and looks like James just came down a little too far, guys.
He might have blown out a tire here. We've seen him starting to really struggle. Nope, you're exactly right. That 27 and 7 actually make a little contact. It's going to send Greegate in the outside wall. Howard Pittman puts the rest of the damage to that 7 car, James Greegate. Rough night here for James Greegate, guys.
Yeah, it is. Looks like kind of rolling it back here on my monitor too. Yeah, it looks like, I don't know if James might have given a little bit extra room down there. Mulligan certainly looks like he did get a little piece of the rear quarter panel here, and James Greegate I got to agree with John. He had to have cut a tire down or something here, because Greegate just makes a hard left or hard right into the outside wall. But tough night for that number 7 Sheen, running pretty much 2nd all night long, Jason.
Yeah, that's a pretty tough one, guys. But it looks like funny thing about this track, he had the wheel cranked to try to save it from getting sideways, and that thing just grabbed some traction on that front end like you wouldn't believe, and yeah, it just turned him hard to that wall. But yeah, he tried to crowd the 27 a little bit, not give him that much room, trying to hold his position for everything he had there, and just crowd him a little too much. As these old tires, these cars just ain't handling the way they normally would, JD.
You bet. And working the numbers now. If I can get my calculator working here. You know what? That's another thing. I'm getting ETV. This place is on such a budget. I get used calculators. I mean, I can't even go down and get a brand new calculator out of the storage room. I tell John I need a calculator, and he sends me to the thrift store.
Oh, J.D. Webb, at least you're not having to shake your monitor cable to get your 5th monitor to light up. I mean, I got to beat on that thing and shake the wires and stomp on the floor, and everything comes on.
Well, you do know, J.D., there is a dollar store out there, and I'm not going to say which one of them, but everything in that store is $1, and I do believe they got solar-powered calculators.
Solar power calculator, that's what I need. But I tell you what, working the numbers here on this used calculator that I do have, 41 laps, Tracy, was the run from the caution before. That would have been on lap 69. So caution coming out here on lap 110 with the number 7 James Greegate machine. But 41 laps on that run, and we saw what the conditions are after about 20 laps. But I'll tell you what, why don't we go ahead and step away? We'll take a commercial break here. You're watching live, ETV Live, the only choice. We're going to take a little commercial here and go back here to the buffet table. So, hey, stay tuned. You won't miss a thing. We'll be right back. Hey, this is J.D. Webb with ETV Live. I wanted to tell you about a special event happening next week, sponsored by RaceSimNation.net. There's a young boy in Atlanta, Georgia, along with many other children, that could use a little help in making their lives just a little brighter with the fight against cancer. This will be a benefit race held at Kentucky Speedway, and all donations will be going to Children's Health Care of Atlanta to help fund research in finding cures and treatments for childhood cancers. The race will be held on Friday, September 30th at 8:30 p.m., and it'll be broadcast live on ETV Live and feature a special pre-race show. So load them up on the haulers and head on over to RaceSimNation.net to get signed up. It'll be first come, first served, so look for the sign-up link when you get there, RaceSimNation.net. The young boy in Atlanta I was speaking of earlier, his name is Gavin Lake, who was diagnosed with stage 3 Willen's tumor cancer. He's the 3-year-old grandson of one of our members here at the Nation, and we'll tell you more about him on race night, September 30th. We'll see you there. All right, and we are back live, and I'll tell you what, ETV always in a beta test. Apologize for that commercial. That little boy there, young man, Gavin Lake. Of course, we're talking about the Cancer Awareness Month being September, and benefit race coming up here at the Nation next Friday, 8:30 p.m. right here on ETV Live. So you don't want to miss that. If you haven't signed up, get signed up. I think there's a few seats left as we take a green flag. Actually, Kevin Brent, I'll tell you what, he's got a pile of green flags sitting on the front seat of that car, Tracy, that won't quit. Larry Mulliken moving into second position. Tony Bolin making it up into the top 5 in third. Jason Riddle coming from behind all the way up to the front in fourth. And then Sean Brown. You know what? Sean Brown has just kind of pieced it together, lap by lap, worked himself up into a top 5 situation here tonight, Tracy.
Yeah, and right now is the time to take that conservation and throw it out the window. At the 27, Larry Mulliken look like the 21 and Tony Bolin both get in the wall. Coming off
here
the
it is.
They get together entering corner 1, but keep both them cars going straight. Definitely don't want to get into another guy coming out, exiting the corners. They're racing hard to try to get back up to that 42 Kevin Brent. But it looks like that Kevin Brent's car is trying to run qual laps to get away from them guys, JD.
You bet. Tony Bolin drives it in hard. Oh, yeah, Tony Bolin drives it in hard, slides it up the track in front of Mulliken, and a caution comes out for the 5th time here at New Hampshire, guys. As I'm hearing, it's Dave Hooten from Dragon Motorsports bringing this one out. Try to cycle around here and pick it up and see what happened to Dave Hooten bringing out the caution this time, guys. Looks like he might have had some help.
I want to bring in this slide job by Tony Bolin. Larry Mulliken must be shaking his fist out the window at Tony. He's going to come into turn 3 here. He's going to dive it in as hard as he can, come right across the nose with that 27 of Larry Mulliken. And wow, that's the worst slide job I think I've seen in a long time here on ETV.
Yeah. What do they call that? What do them kids do with them little rice burner cars?
Drifting.
Maybe that's what this has come to.
Yeah, but they only slide 2 tires, JD. He was sliding all 4 of them tires.
Now we'll bring it back here, see if we can see what happened to Dave Hooten. I hope I said that right. I always mess up his name. He's going to just get loose off turn 4, guys. About the same thing we've seen all night long coming out of that turn. Slide hard in the inside wall.
Okay, pits are up for all
yeah,
cars.
That's same thing we've been seeing. You're right, John. Just taking a second look here. As I was watching my monitor, watching that 21 car move on the 27 car. But Dave Hooten, same issue was we've seen pretty much all night. The 99 car, the 7 car twice. Dan White showing us how it was done from the very beginning on lap 14. But same deal here, just slip sliding around. But unfortunately, Dave Hooten managed to tag the inside wall here on the front stretch, and of course that's going to do some damage to his ride. But tough night here at New Hampshire, Tracy.
Yeah, I tell you what, right now these guys are going to be pushing these cars for whatever they want because of these last few laps. But I tell you what, it's pretty difficult in your pit road to fix a loose-off condition. That's all back to the driver and his foot control, JD.
Yeah, you got that right. And I tell you what, that was only about 7 laps between that run. But I tell you what, 118 laps in the books, 125 lap race tonight. Hey, we just got a handful of them left here. Not quite enough to set up a green-white checker just yet, but we'll tell you how that works anyway. If we do come to a green-white checker, they got one shot only, and that's it. If the caution flies on that green flag lap, it is race over, and they will finish under the green flag. Hopefully we won't get to that. But I'll tell you what, since last commercial we took was only about 8 laps ago, again, I want to spend some time with this cancer awareness thing. And I'll tell you about this young man back in Atlanta. He's the grandson of Dwayne Hall, one of the admins here at RaceSimNation.com. And we want to give this young man a hand. And, you know, a tough life that this kid's got in front of him for the next probably several months, undergoing cancer treatment for Willem's tumor cancer. That's cancer of the kidney. And I tell you what, you know, we're pulling for this young guy. And hopefully he's going to be with us to call the start of the race on Friday night, this Friday night, September 30th. And you don't want to miss that. So I tell you what, Gavin Lake is the young man's name, and we hope that he'll be with us Friday night. And look forward to seeing everybody here. Kentucky Speedway is where we're going to be at, too, guys.
Yeah, Kentucky is a good track to go race on. Nice big track, light sweeping corners. We got a 5-lap shootout here, JD. As we're just heading down, the pace car is getting ready to drop in. We're going to take that green flag.
You bet. And Kevin Brents, I'll tell you what, like I said before, he's got a pile of green flags, you know, on that seat next to him up there. Unbelievable. Tony Bowling behind him this time. But I'll tell you what, don't give up on that 27 machine. Larry Mulligan, Jason Riddle, Sean Brown making up your top 5 up here. Unfortunately for Dave Hooten, he's cycled all the way back to 19th position on this restart. The caution comes out. Big wreck on the front stretch here, guys. The 55 car involved and a couple of others. I'll have to roll that one back and see what happened there. I got a funny feeling that was probably some kind of a checkup, Tracy.
Oh, yeah, I'm checking it up here, JD. It looks like the 33 of Jerry Hinkle really got on the brakes. And then the 55 got a little bump from the 34. I think John should be able to pull up and see the rest of this melee going on.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Jerry Hinkle, big check up here. Dwayne Hall has to back out of it, and that makes Joe DePino slam hard into the back of the 55. I mean, not really much Joe DePino could do unless he had a remote control there on Dwayne Hall's dash to see when he hit the brake, but Dwayne Hall, major damage on that left front once again here, guys.
All right, caution number 6. I'll tell you what, they're coming pretty fast now. Lap 121, we'll call it.
Okay.
And, you know, this may set us up for a green-white checkered right here, Tracy, I believe. We'll just have to wait and see how it all plays out. But tough night here at New Hampshire. And I tell you what, you know, a couple of these guys, well, let's talk about Larry Mulligan. You know, he's just been able to put it all together here, and perhaps it comes from the 2 races that he's finished here before in the top 5. You know, watching him all night, he just seems to be taking his time, doing his thing, not pretty much, you know, paying attention to anything. Of course, Tony Bowling gets up there and mixes it up with him a little bit. But, hey, you know, this is like lap 120 of 125 laps. So, you know what, tough night for some of the rest of them, though. Howard Pittman going down a couple laps. Tom Plazinski down a couple laps. Don Klein calling it a night on lap 116. Dan White, of course, out on lap 81. And Brian Pace on lap 24, Tracy.
Yeah, and I tell you what, the car we haven't talked about much, a few times here and there, but that 96 of Jason Riddle running right there in 4th spot. And he's got that 65 of Sean Brown. These 2 guys, they're going to be trying to get in there on that green-white checker to see if they can't get somebody moved up the track and take a couple more spots, JD.
You bet. And I'll tell you what, why don't we go ahead and take another commercial break here. And you won't miss a thing. It's all live right here. But I'll tell you what, you're watching live ETV Live, the Monday night Halls on Post Racing Series from raceofnation.net. So stick and stay, as Sean Pickle would stay. We'll be right back.
You're watching ETV Live, the leader in sim broadcasting. The very best in the business brings you the highest in broadcast quality with superior audio and instant replay by the exclusive ETV Rewind machine. Follow the live action with producer John Wessing and commentators Sean Bickle, David Bass, J.D. Webb, Jerry Wolf, and more. And don't miss the pre-race entertainment by the ETV Live Band.
Broadcasting live 4 nights a week from racesimnation.com.
Have some fun with the broadcast team in the ETV chat room and listen to a live race scanner. And remember, ETV Live, the leader in sim broadcasting. It's the only choice.
All right, ETV. Hey, dude, it's the only choice. I'll tell you what, there ain't no better broadcasting service out there than ETV Live. But out here in New Hampshire, guys, waiting for the pace car to sort things out here and get situated. We are under a green-white checkered, and like I explained before, here's how it works. We got one shot only. If the caution comes out on that green flag lap, it is race over, and they will finish behind the pace car, Tracy. So they got one shot when Kevin Brents takes the green for the 7th time tonight.
Yeah, this is it. Caution comes out, race is over anyways. This is when everybody's going to be trying to get everything they can get out of their cars. And tell you what, the way this race is, the way how much you got to get on them brakes in corner one, I'm not looking too much far caution coming out there on the start there, JD.
Yeah, you bet. It'll be somebody who's just a little bit too anxious than anybody else. But tough night here at New Hampshire. And I'll tell you, the one good thing about this race tonight has been that buffet table, Wendy, and awesome job on the ribs.
I thank you, appreciate it. And you just wait till for Wednesday.
Can't wait. Give us a rundown, a real quick rundown before we take the green flag. What can we expect for Wednesday's buffet?
Oh, I think all the teams are going to get together and send something up here for you. And they know I've got things I got to do Wednesday night, so they're going to help me out with that.
All right. Green flag one more time. This is the green-white checkered, guys. Wait for it to happen as Kevin Brents picks it up for about the 7th time here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Tony Bowling in behind him. Larry Malkin hanging out in the top 5 all night long in 3rd. John Brown worked himself up into 5th. Kevin Brent's going to cross the start-finish line. It'll be and the caution comes out. The race is over, guys. Before we took the white flag, I believe this will be the end of the race. We'll check with race officials as the caution comes out for the 7th time.
Pit road's closed. Pit road's closed.
I can't, trying to cycle around here and like the 99, 28 might have been involved in that too, but the 99 car for sure, guys. And I believe this is going to end the race, if I'm not mistaken. We'll see if we can't get a hold of one of the officials here. But Kevin Brents did not take the white flag, Tracy, so I believe that's going to set us up for a finish behind the pace car. John, have you got more?
Wow, guys, guys end up 3 wide. Speece on the outside, Dave Hooten on the inside, Kevin Frankson 98 on the inside. And this track gets really, really tight here. They just run out of room, I believe. Actually, Speece just gets loose on the outside. They actually made it through that corner 3 wide. If it wasn't for that 99 getting loose, Howard Pittman spins around trying to avoid the accident. I believe that's Tom Paczynski. Hard lick on the outside wall, guys.
All right, last lap action there. I'll tell you, trying to hook it up and make it happen. Couldn't quite get it. As we said, Kevin Brents did not pick up the white flag before he crossed the start-finish line. So that's going to finish the race under green, but behind the pace car here tonight. So it's going to be Kevin Brents, Tony Bowling, Larry Mulliken, your top 3 here at New Hampshire, Tracy.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at that, JD, and you know what? Yeah, 125 laps. We're on 127 on 30. So it looks like another win for the 42 of Kevin Brent. That should move him up in the points lead, I'm guessing here, because the number 7 of James Grigate finished off in 18th spot. Disappointing tonight for James. But tell you what a rough race for these guys. Great job by Kevin Brent and Tony Bowling, guys.
Yeah, you bet. And, that 96 machine, Jason Riddle. I'm looking down my sheet here. I want to say he started in the back somewhere. In fact, he did. I believe he started 20th tonight. Had some issues on his qualifying run, but from the back to the front, of course, that's not unusual for that 96 machine as we finish out the race here.
Well, right, it makes you wonder what's going to be going on for our next race there, JD. You might have got the list there, what track we had for next week?
Haven't even seen the calendar. Of course, things have changed here at the Nation, and I know that they've redone the calendar a little bit, and because we had to take that week off so they get things situated. But I'll tell you what, we'll look it up here, and we'll let you know what's going on.
Yeah, because that should make it interesting, depending on the tracks. Each one of these guys got their strong suit for certain tracks, and this one right here, I think Kevin Brent pretty much owns this track, JD.
You bet, and that's going to be Bristol Motor Speedway next Monday night, guys. That'll be on the 28th, so ETV Live right here about 8:40 p.m. You don't want to miss that one. Bristol Motor Speedway with the Halls on Post Monday night racing series at the Nation. And looking for Wednesday night here. Actually, that is Wednesday night. My bad. The 28th. What am I thinking here, guys? Jeez. All right, the race is over here at New Hampshire, but Wednesday night team series. They'll be at Bristol Speedway. And then
that'll be 2 nights of Bristol, J.D. Webb, because iRacing Truck Series at Bristol tomorrow night, too.
All right, and I'll tell you what, you don't want to miss that either. The Outlaw Jesse James and David Big Mouth Bass calling the action from Bristol Motor Speedway tomorrow night at the iRacing Series here at the Nation. And but for tonight at New Hampshire, race has been called. It's over. Kevin Brent, Tony Bowling, Larry Mulligan, Sean Brown, and Jason Riddle, your top 5 here at New Hampshire. So I'll tell you what, we're going to go ahead and step away, take a commercial break here, and we'll bring you back the RSN post-race show at New Hampshire. All right, we are back live. New Hampshire Motor Speedway, green-white checkered here at the end. Kevin Brent's taking the win. I'll tell you what, stepping into victory lane down here with Kevin. From pole to checkers, dude, how many of them green flags you had piled up in that car of yours tonight?
I'm not too sure. The car was pretty good. I was pretty excited about that, so... the only thing that got me worse is these last runs here because my car kept getting worse and worse and worse. I don't know what was wrong with it, but it just started going away. I did no changes to it either.
Well, we were monitoring the track temperatures there for a little bit, stayed right around 92 degrees, but towards the end of the race moved up into about 95, 96 degree range. So could be that had something to do with it. But tell me something, Kevin. You made it look really, really easy out there. and we were commenting that about 19 to 20 laps into the run, we were looking at cars that were just getting wildly out of shape. But you seem to have had yours on a rail tonight. Tell us how you did that.
Well, it was pretty much on rails, like I said, until the end where, the weather or something just started making it go away. Same thing I felt last time we were on here. But we started the car out pretty tight, and that's pretty much how I left it through the whole run. I made one wedge adjustment because it was just a bit too tight for to be able to maintain the lead. So I loosened it up a bit, and it was tight on entry, tight in the center, and tight off. So it was pretty much just overall tight.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, congratulations on the win here at the Hulls on Post Monday Night Racing Series at New Hampshire. Any shout-outs out there that you want to give?
Thank you guys, everybody else, for showing up and running. Oh, man, I don't know who else. I'm missing something here.
You just want to thank everybody. We got it, Kevin. Hey, congratulations again.
Pretty much.
On the run. You bet. And, we know where you're coming from. You've been here before, so no harm, no foul there. But I'm going to throw it on down pit road just a little bit. Tracy Flip Robinson standing by with Smoking 21 Tony Bowling, dude.
Yeah, I'm down here at the 21 of Tony Bowling, the man who knows how to master a slide job. Great job, Tony. Tell you what, you had to work for everything you got tonight.
Oh, yeah, for sure. This definitely isn't one of my strong tracks by no means. I was just hoping to get out of here with the top 10, and luckily found my way up into the top 5.
Yeah, I tell you what, you did a great job keeping control of your car there. We were looking at it like right around 20 laps, right in that area. Everybody really starting to get loose. How did your car handle when you hit about that mark?
Actually, my car never got loose. I actually started it on the tight side and adjusted it throughout the race. There towards the end, I did loosen it up quite a bit just because, I didn't add fuel to. I wanted to loosen the car up a lot to try to, be able to do something with some of them front guys, but we didn't get the green flag laps to be able to do so.
Well, I'll tell you what, you did a great job. I'll tell you what, we put that slide job on there and did a little replay on it. That was really good slide job. Looked like Larry Mulligan. I'll tell you and him had a great fight going there.
Yeah, Larry was really good right in the beginning, and seemed later in the run his car seemed to fall off. But this track, it's so hard to pass on, and you almost got to wait for somebody to mess up to be able to get a run on him. So I knew that I was going to have to try to do something with Larry early, and I got under him, and we was really tight, and then went into that one turn, and I knew I had to clear him, so I got on the brakes a little bit late and slid up in front of him, and luckily kept the position.
All right, Tony, tell you what, did a great job tonight. Is there anybody out there you want to thank tonight?
First off, I want to congratulate Kevin on a job well done. He was definitely a class of the field tonight. And then got to thank Angela Hall and Halls on Post for sponsoring my ride, put me in a vehicle to go out there and race. You guys up there in the booth for everything that you do and great broadcast, and look forward to seeing you guys Wednesday.
All right, that's your second place finisher tonight, the 21 of Tony Bowling. Now I'm going to throw it over to John, who's caught up with a 27 car tonight.
I sure have. I've caught up that 27 Harley-Davidson cycles machine of Larry Mulligan. Larry, you seem like you're not being any stranger here in post-race action here on ATV here lately. Just great runs week in, week out.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I like this track, and I do real good here, but I just got to find something to meet up with Kevin Gruntz there, though. I just got to find out what he's doing.
Yeah, I know what it's called, Larry Mulligan, a tow rope. You think that would help you any, Larry?
It might have. I had quite a bit of damage from that first wreck I caught when Dan White spun out. I hit him and caught the wall. Gave me some damage in the front end, and I think that hurt me a little bit there.
Well, Larry, a spectacular run. You ran up front almost all night long up here with the big dogs at RaceSimNation.net. Do you think with a few more laps or a few more adjustments, you might have had anything for to give that slide job back to Tony Bolin for second?
It's possible, yeah, because I was real good on the shorter runs than he was. Yeah, I probably could have.
All right, Larry, before we cut you loose, you got anybody, friends back home you want to give a shout-out to before we cut you loose here?
Let's say thanks to my friends at Dragon Motorsports, and thanks for you guys putting a good show on. I'm glad we're back to racing again here.
Me too, Larry Balkin. Been a long week here at RaceSimNation.net, but we're strong guys here, and we'll bounce right back. And JD, I believe we're going to send it back up to you to get us out of here.
You got that right, John. I'll tell you what a night here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, Tracy and Wendy. I'll tell you what, Tracy, like we were thinking early in the pre-race show, Larry Mulliken pulling out another top 5 here at New Hampshire. I'll tell you what, Kevin Brent, you better be looking in your rearview mirror, because I got a funny feeling Mulliken, he'll be there next time around. But, Tracy, what a night here at New Hampshire. You bet. And, once again, we want to make everybody aware of the race coming up on Friday night, Kentucky Speedway. Tune in, or I'll tell you what, this is a special cause, and if nothing else, you got to sit and participate in this one. If you haven't signed up for the race yet, get over and get signed up at RaceSimNation.net. This is the Cancer Awareness Month, Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And I'll tell you what, we're doing this specifically for a young man named Gavin Lake. He's the grandson of one of our admins here at the Nation. And I'll tell you what, Willem's tumor cancer is what this young man is fighting. He's undergoing radiation and chemotherapy treatments as we speak, and hopefully he's going to be here Friday night to help us call the race and give us a green flag. But Friday night, 8:30, Kentucky Speedway, right here at ETV Live. Wednesday night, hey, it's a toss-up. I can't tell if it's Bristol or Dover. They're telling me Dover, but on the calendar it says Bristol Motor Speedway, Wednesday night RSN Team Series. And then next Monday night, Dover Speedway, the Monster Mile, for the Halls on Post Pro Series. In the meantime, Tracy, we do have some people to thank before we do get out of here.
Yeah, we need to thank True Gravity Art Design for decorating the RSN website, NVG Web Hosting for hosting the RSN website for us, Halls on Post for sponsoring the Halls on Post Monday Night Madness Race Series, DB Tech Service sponsoring our Saturday Night Thunder Series, the Arca League manager for keeping track of our stats. Without them, we wouldn't know who would be winning the points. And the Sim Factor for producing a great game like Arca Sim Racing, JD.
You bet. Exile Racing sponsoring the Sunday Night Shakedown Series. The Nation itself, RaceSimNation.net. Remember to change your bookmarks to .net. Jody Johnson, the ETV Live journalist for the RSN Weekly Race Headlines. He also does the power rankings for the Monday Night Halls on Post Series. And executive producer John, the bad boy Wessling on the cameras. I'll tell you what, no better producer than John Wessling here for ETV. Trackmaster Dwayne Hall for reworking the tracks for the Nation. Tracy Robinson, Wendy Bernard, co-host for tonight. I'll tell you what, we will see you Wednesday night at Bristol Motor Speedway. And don't forget the truck races tomorrow at Bristol with David Bass and Jesse, the Outlaw James. So we'll see you then.